Hey guys, welcome back to YouTube's one and only GameJolt weekly wrap-up. This week we got 5 more games to check out and they're looking pretty good. Before we get going, remember to share this video and hit that like button. Last week we got 9 likes, I think this week we can break 10 if we try really hard. So without further ado, the first game, Servers of Motherboard. This is a, I don't even know how to put it, it's more of a speedrun obstacle game with some pretty interesting graphics. I really like the neon glow of everything, and I kind of like how the game is, I don't know how to put it other than it's obstacle based, and it tries to take like a unique theme on it. I don't think I've seen a game that specifically comes into it like this, but maybe I'm wrong. The things I like about it are the running and how everything feels pretty fluid. There's not really many challenging obstacles in quite yet, but I also like the audio that's been put into it. So if I were to rank this for now, let's start out with aesthetics. As far as the look and feel goes, I really like the neon yellow that you got going on in the circuitry walls. I think that really fits your theme, obviously, because you're in a motherboard and you're trying to deliver data packet to the CPU. At least it looks like the CPU. Pretty sure that's what it is. Anyways, the whole theme fits together really well, and the 2 obstacles that I've seen so far fit together pretty cool, and they look really well done. I'm not sure how you actually achieve the lighting, so as far as the theme and the audio and graphics go, I'm going to give you an intermediate on there, because it looks like you put the pieces together really nicely. I don't know if you created them, and they look kind of stock, but maybe that's props to you for doing a really good job. The next strength we're going to be talking about is called Design. Now, in this, I kind of want to talk about the level design and a few other things, but first off, the level design is pretty simple right now. I don't think it's not super crazy, and both of the levels, maybe there's 3, I don't exactly remember, but they both feel pretty identical. There's just an obstacle thrown in, so I'd encourage you to really change up the design as far as layout goes. So I'm going to give you beginner on this one, just because they really are the same, and then the last room is just one big oval, and there's not too many obstacles designed or anything super crazy like that, so I'd encourage you to try and push what you can do with the level design to move up to the next strength, or at least try and add a few more obstacles and whatnot. Now, flowing right into the mechanics, I'd say the mechanics are also pretty basic. It's just run and jump, which is really as basic as it gets, so I'm going to give you beginner here as well. I'd like to see something that incorporates the environment into your mechanics. I don't know what exactly that would be, but you're a data packet and a circuit board. You should be able to do some pretty cool things along those lines. So that's my advice on this. Remember, this isn't ranking your ability, this is just my observations of your game as it stands, and I hope you use these to further your abilities and push yourself to make a better game. Alright, the next game we're going to be talking about is called Deep Space Dumbass. Now, obviously it's asterisked out on GameJolt, but I thought it was kind of a funny name, and I'd encourage you to incorporate that name into it. I really like the design of the boss. I'm not sure if you designed it. It looks and flows pretty well in, so it feels like you designed it. The AI that you're using seems to be working pretty well. Again, I really want to know if you designed this stuff. It looks really well done. I love the bullets because black and green, my favorite colors, so points there. There really is only 1 level in this, and you get to customize the health of the big guy, but that's about it because this is in alpha. These are all pretty early alpha state games, so you guys should check it out, see what you think. As you can see, I never really have to move the mouse to hit anything. Just it always shoots towards the cursor, so I just leave the cursor where it is and move the ship around otherwise. There are some power-ups with a dash, which is pretty awesome, and I think that was a pretty cool addition. I would like to see more additions thrown in there, honestly, because it looks like you could go pretty crazy with this. Maybe add some different bosses to fight right now before you start throwing in like a story or anything. Alright, now let's get into the rankings. As far as aesthetics, this game looks pretty cool. The space background looks awesome, the bullets look really well done, the ship looks pretty cool, albeit a little basic, and the boss looks pretty cool as well. The audio is alright. I think it probably could be improved on a little bit. The gunshots get pretty annoying. Other than that, it's alright. I'd like to see different gunshots as well, but that's later on. So as far as aesthetics, I'm going to give you intermediate, and if you designed these, then I would move you up to proficient, but because I don't know if you designed the boss or not. it's intermediate. Let me know in the comments below if you designed all of the assets, because then I'll definitely give you a proficient in the comments. Next score to talk about is the design. Now this is the level design or various unique things that you have in here. So as far as design goes, this is pretty straightforward. It's just your shoot 'em up, constant shooter, over the top game. It's pretty basic as far as I would say. So right now I'm going to give you a beginner, because I'd like to see different enemy styles, different level styles. I don't really know how you can do different levels, but maybe going over some cool background or past some planets would be interesting. And then finally onto mechanics. Again, pretty straightforward, although that AI is pretty cool. I don't know if it's an AI, maybe it's just a script that constantly rotates, but it seems to be working very well. I'd like to see some different shots or power-ups of sorts. The dash around is pretty cool, so I'm going to give you intermediate here because you do have some stuff that you seem to put some time into. Alright, game number 3 is called Ghost Game. This is I don't know if rage platformer is a thing I want to use. It's definitely supposed to be a challenging platformer, and the person that makes it definitely seems to be designing a universe around it, which I have to give you props for that. That's really hard to do, and I think so far you're on the right track. As you can see, the character models seem to have a lot of work into them, while the actual levels themselves, this level has a little bit going into it. You'll see here in a second that the main level may be a little bit less. Overall, it's pretty cool. I like the dialogue system and the little bobbing character there. I think that's pretty cool and a really nice touch. I also think that this could be a really cool system for a platformer, and I really like platformers, so I'm kind of biased. Other than that, it's pretty simplistic, and I'd like to see what you throw in here besides the story that makes it unique. The triple jump is pretty cool. You guys can see that on screen in a minute here, but everything else kind of seems overlooked at the moment. It looks like you really focused on making 1 or 2 models and kind of neglected the rest. The water waves inside the cauldron is actually a really nice touch. I didn't notice that until I was watching the footage. So until I know more about the story, there's not really much I can say about it right now, and there's not many levels, so I'd like to see more. But I think you already plan on making more, so that'd be pretty cool. I'd love to see this world fleshed out. I think you got something that, in your head, is really cool and really expansive. I'd just like to see it put down into the game so I can experience it with you. So getting on to the scoring. As far as aesthetics go, I think I already said everything I wanted to say, and I'm going to give you an intermediate here because a lot of the characters look like you put a lot of work into them, and by a lot I mean like 2. I think the player avatar could use a little bit more work as far as, and also the levels could use a little bit more, what's the word for it, pizzazz, maybe some love, TLC, quality of life improvements. So that would be my biggest in the aesthetics, and the audio, but I think you already know about that. Alright, moving on to design. As far as level design goes, it's pretty basic. I think you can do some really creative things. I think you definitely had some good ideas as far as this first level goes with design, but it could use a little bit more, and there's really no obstacles. It's just terrain that you're jumping around. And as far as mechanics goes, did I give you a rank for design? No, I didn't. I think right now, just gonna have to be beginner for the design. So, and there's not much as far as story content goes. Well, I'm gonna give you an intermediate on this because you're definitely trying to build a universe, but I want to see that universe fleshed out a little bit more before I give you more points for the actual design of the story. And now, onto mechanics. I really do not like that the body rotates independently of the camera. When I hit forward, I want to go forward from my perspective. I understand that might just be a preference for me, and you're trying to make it harder. I'm not really a huge fan. I got used to it, but it's one of those things that I found more annoying than actually challenging. It only took me a couple seconds to figure out what was going on, and I feel like if you're going to throw something challenging in there, make it actually challenging, just don't make it confusingly challenging. The triple jump and the fall is alright. I don't understand it entirely, but I think it's okay to have in it. You use it, so that's alright. I'd like to see some moving obstacles in the game. I'd like to see some more mechanics, maybe some things organized or focused around being a ghost. It looks like the guy's a ghost. Make some ghost-like mechanics. I think that would be pretty awesome. Overall, I think you're on the right track here, and I'd love to see where this game is in a couple weeks or a month or two. I think you got some great ideas. Just gotta put them down. Alright, our fourth game is going to be Nivixian Tournament DX, which is a game that looks like it's made in RPG Maker, just because this is the same art stuff that I tend to see in just about every RPG Maker game. I think it's cool that you're trying out these mechanics on here. I'd like to see some of your art, some of your special mechanics. This is the problem with using development tools like RPG Makers. I can't tell what's yours and what's not yours, so it's really hard to give you a rank. I think you got a lot of creativity, and since this is a game in a series, it's pretty cool to see some of the writing come through, though I'm not entirely sure what half of it's supposed to be about. So I think I would highly encourage all of you guys to watch my series on Question Your Game, because I think this would help you flesh out this game maybe a little bit more as far as story goes. You start to explain it in the opening sequence, although it's just a wall of text, so my eyes kind of glazed over. I'm sorry. I know you're explaining a lot about the history of the game, which I think is cool, but I think there is a more organic way to do it, and I'd like to see you try it that way. But more to the point, I got here and I kind of was wondering, why am I doing this? I mean, it's fun, it's engaging gameplay, but what is the story reason for me being here? And I'd like to encourage you to think about that as you're writing the rest of this game, if you are actually expanding upon this game. So, to go into the ratings, let's go to aesthetics. I'm not sure how many of these art assets you used, or how many are yours, but I will say that even if you're provided assets, it's not easy to make them just work. So I'm going to give you an intermediate here, because you took the assets you had and you made something that looks good. It's good to look at and it works well together. And that's not easy. Not everyone can do that, so I think you definitely rank above beginner. Going into design, there really isn't any level design outside this main level, because it's an RPG Maker game. I'm pretty sure. If it's the wrong engine, I'm really sorry. But that's the game, I think it is. So, there really isn't any level design here. There's just this basic foyer, I don't know. But all the battles and all the other rooms are very simple. You think it was a good idea in between each battle to add a resting room? I do think that was a good idea, but I'm not really seeing any level design beyond that. Most of it's just how you put the rooms together, which falls under aesthetics. So as far as design goes, I'm going to give you beginner. I'd like to see some Easter eggs hidden in different rooms, or some exploration mechanic in this game to show the character or the player that the world exists beyond just these fighting arenas, that other stuff is going on, that there's stuff hidden about. Maybe write some kind of drama story into the background that has really no relation to the game. I think that would help your world feel alive, and that would really help push your development skills to start thinking about that. And again, I encourage you to watch my Question Your Game series, because it asks a lot of these questions and good ways to think about the questions. Now going on to mechanics, again, this is an RPG Maker game. Again, if I'm wrong, that's gonna suck. But I'm not sure how many of these mechanics are actually yours, or any of these abilities are yours. So until I know definitively that you made some of these, I'm going to give you beginner for here. I'd like you to let me know in the comments if you made them yourself. If any of these are yours, point them to me and we'll move that rank right up for you, because you'll deserve it at that point. I think it would be really cool to see if you could design your own like attack animations in here. I'm not sure what the tool's capabilities, I'm not super familiar with it, but if you designed your own special moves, your own menu system, that would be really awesome, because the menu for RPG Maker is really clunky. Alright, our fifth and final game today, one that I identify with so strongly, is yet another exhausting day. This game looks awesome, and it's actually really fun to play. The story, there really isn't a story, alright? And that's fine. The guy's just tired from work, and he wants to get around the house, which is a pretty interesting premise, but the movement mechanics made me laugh. This is super unique. I've never seen any movement mechanics like this before, so hats off to you. Well done. Basic premise of the game, get around the house without falling asleep. As simple as that may sound, I failed right away on the first level because I don't know what I'm doing. The levels all seem pretty unique, as well as the design looks pretty awesome. I love this room cutaway. I think it works great for the type of game they're going for, and it takes itself just seriously enough to be interesting, but not so seriously that it gets in the way of the gameplay. So, well done, developers. I think you did a great job here. But let's jump right into the rankings so that I can give some more directed feedback. As far as the aesthetics go, the audio is great. The level design is next, Jake. The audio is great. The background looks great. The character looks pretty cool. It's a little low quality, but that's what you're going for here. I love the lighting and how you write the instructions on the wall. I think you've done a really good job here. So as far as aesthetics go, I'm going to give you proficient. I think you guys have done a really good job of blending all these assets together. It looks like you made them all yourself, and the lighting effects look really well polished, but not so polished that you start to question the seriousness of the game. Then on the level design, each level does feel pretty unique, and I think you've done a really good job of blending together challenging but casual at the same time. I like that the levels take you up the walls and over boxes, and there's different obstacles. You guys will see later in these clips that the obstacles do change quite a bit, and it's pretty awesome. So as far as level design goes, I'm also going to give you proficient in this category. Some people might think that's not fair, but I was really impressed by this game, alright? And these are all subjective, you guys know that. Now, on to mechanics. So the movement mechanic, never seen before. It's pretty cool, and I like how it works together with the character moving around. I like how you made that movement animation. That's pretty cool. The moving up walls, definitely interesting. I don't think it's super challenging, but I think it's pretty cool. And the controls are super simple, although it does feel sometimes like that's not the command I wanted. That's not at all what I tried to do. Because you might see sometimes where I roll when I don't mean to, but that's not a huge deal. As far as mechanics go, since they are pretty simple, I am going to give you an intermediate. I'll be at the high tier of intermediate, but the mechanics, the controls aren't really that hard to figure out in the first place, right? Like, it's very simple, and that's kind of the way you're going for. You're going for a casual game, which is pretty awesome. The controls work, like I said, pretty smoothly, but sometimes they do glitch out a little bit. Overall, really well done.